Welcome to English Drive-Thru, the high-energy show where we help you navigate real-life situations with ease and confidence. I am Iris, joined by my friend Ernesto and our silent but supportive Schnauzer companion, Spody, for today's lesson. We are diving straight into the world of dining out and learning exactly how to handle those moments when your restaurant experience goes wrong.
We are going to walk you through 3 different scenarios where something isn't quite right with your meal or your service. These are the exact phrases you need to sound like a natural while staying cool and collected. Let's jump into the practice samples.
Excuse me, I am so sorry to bother you, but I think there has been a mistake with my order. I specifically asked for the veggie burger with no cheese, but this one definitely has dairy on it.
I am terribly sorry about that mix-up. Let me take that back to the kitchen immediately for you. I will make sure the chef prepares a fresh one right away so you can enjoy your meal.
Pardon me, we have been waiting for our main courses for over 40 minutes, and we are starting to get a bit worried. Also, when the soup finally arrived earlier, it was unfortunately lukewarm instead of hot.
I apologize for the delay, as the kitchen is quite backed up tonight with a very large party in the back. I will check on those entrees and bring you a fresh bowl of soup on the house to make up for it.
Excuse me, could we get a clean set of silverware for this table, because these forks look a little dirty? Also, I noticed an extra charge for a bottle of wine on our tab that we did not actually order.
I am so sorry for the oversight. I will replace those utensils right now and fix that mistake on your bill. I will adjust the total immediately so that everything is accurate before you pay.
Wow, those were some really intense situations, but we handled them like absolute pros without getting angry. I think it is so important to notice how we use the phrase "sorry to bother you" in that first practice sample.
It is such a natural way to start a conversation when you need to point out a mistake without being rude. Spody would agree that being polite gets you much better service than barking at the staff like a grumpy dog.
In that first scenario, we used the word specifically to emphasize that we gave very clear instructions during the ordering process. It helps the server understand that the error happened in the kitchen and wasn't just a misunderstanding of what we wanted.
And when I responded as the waiter, I used the term mix-up, which is a friendly and casual way to say mistake. It sounds a lot less harsh than telling someone they failed or did something wrong, which keeps the mood light.
Moving on to our second simulation, I love the way we describe the food temperature using the word lukewarm. If your food is only slightly warm but should be hot, this is the perfect word to use to get a fresh dish.
It is definitely better than saying the food is cold if it is actually just sitting in between hot and cold. I also explained that the kitchen was backed up, which means they are extremely busy and running behind on orders.
That is a very common phrase you will hear in American restaurants when the service is taking longer than usual. To fix the problem, you offered to provide the soup on the house, which every customer loves to hear.
Saying something is on the house means the restaurant is giving it to you for free because they made a mistake. It is a great way for them to show they care about your experience and want to make things right.
In the third practice sample, we talked about silverware and utensils, which are just different names for forks, knives, and spoons. It is much more natural to ask for a set of silverware rather than listing every single item you need.
I noticed we also used the word tab instead of just saying the bill or the check. In many bars and casual restaurants, people refer to their running total as a tab, especially if they are ordering drinks.
When we found that extra charge on the bill, we called it an oversight, which is a very gentle way to describe a mistake. It suggests that the person simply missed a detail rather than intentionally trying to overcharge you for your dinner.
Exactly, and then we talked about making sure the final amount was accurate so there would be no confusion. Being accurate means that every single item and price on that piece of paper is exactly correct and fair.
I think the key takeaway from all 3 of these practice samples is that staying calm is your best strategy. If you use these real-life phrases, the staff will be much more likely to go out of their way to help you.
It also helps to be very direct about what you need, like when we ask to adjust the bill or replace the utensils. Don't be afraid to speak up because you are paying for a good meal and a pleasant experience.
We should also mention that terms like main courses and entrees are used interchangeably in the United States. In other countries, an entree might be a starter, but here it is almost always the biggest plate of food you order.
That is a great point for anyone traveling because it can be very confusing when you are looking at a menu. Spody usually just wants the meat, so he doesn't care if you call it an entree or a main course.
If your food is undercooked, you can use the same polite approach we practiced in our very first simulation today. You could say that your steak is a bit too rare and ask them to put it back on the grill.
Just remember to use words like a bit or a little to soften the complaint so it doesn't sound like a big deal. The goal is to get your food fixed quickly so you can get back to enjoying your night out.
We have covered so much ground already by looking at how to handle wrong orders, slow service, and dirty silverware. These vocabulary words like lukewarm and backed up are going to be so useful next time you visit a restaurant.
I am really glad we could break down these practice samples and show how simple it can be to speak up. Using natural English phrases makes a huge difference in how people respond to your requests during a busy dinner shift.
Let's look back at that first mix-up we discussed, because that word is such a lifesaver.
It really is because it removes the blame from the person and puts it on the situation.
Right, instead of saying you made a mistake, you just say there was a mix-up with the order.
And when you want to be clear, like in the burger example, using specifically helps avoid any doubt.
It is like a shortcut to sounding more precise without being aggressive.
Exactly, and we can use these same terms outside the restaurant world too.
Think about being at work when there is a scheduling conflict with a big meeting.
You could tell your boss there was a mix-up with the calendar invites and you need to reschedule.
That sounds so much more professional than saying I forgot or you told me the wrong time.
It keeps the conversation focused on fixing the problem rather than finding someone to blame.
Or what if you are shopping and the clerk gives you the wrong change at the register?
You might say there is a small oversight here because I gave you a 20, not a 10.
Using oversight makes it sound like a simple human error, which makes the clerk less defensive.
We also use the phrase backed up, which is perfect for describing heavy traffic on your way home.
If you are late for a dinner date, you can just text and say the highway is totally backed up.
Everyone understands that feeling of being stuck in a line of cars that isn't moving.
It works for your inbox too when you have 100 emails to answer after a long vacation.
You are definitely backed up with work at that point and might need an extra day to catch up.
Let's talk about specifically again, but this time in a tech support context.
If your computer is crashing, you should tell the technicians specifically what happens when you click that button.
Details are key, and that word helps the pro focus on the exact issue you are facing.
And don't forget lukewarm, which we can use to describe a reaction to a new movie or a boring idea.
If your friend asks if you liked the film and you weren't impressed, you can say your reaction was lukewarm.
It means you didn't hate it, but you certainly didn't love it either.
Now let's dive into how we can change our tone to sound more relaxed or more polite.
A great trick is using the word actually to soften a correction or a different opinion.
Instead of saying that is wrong, you can say actually, I think we should try it this way.
It makes the sentence feel like an observation rather than a direct confrontation.
We can also use a bit to make a complaint sound less like a big deal.
Saying the room is a bit cold sounds much nicer than shouting that the heater is broken.
It gives the other person a chance to help you without feeling like they are in trouble.
If you want to sound more relaxed with friends, you can drop the formal apologies and just use sorry about that.
It is quick and keeps the flow of the conversation going while still being considerate.
But if you are in a professional setting, you might want to stick to I apologize for the inconvenience.
Both phrases mean the same thing, but they change the vibe of the room instantly.
Think about how we use the word tab in the restaurant for our bill.
That is very casual and sounds like you are a regular at the spot or just feeling comfortable.
Asking to close out your tab is the ultimate way to sound like a local American.
It shows you know the lingo and you are ready to wrap up your night.
Just like we are wrapping up this analysis of how to use these real-world phrases effectively.
Let's dive right into our rapid-fire round to see how you can handle these situations in real time without breaking a sweat. I am going to give you 3 mini simulations based on what we have covered today, and you have to give me the perfect response.
I am ready for the challenge. Real-world English is all about being quick on your feet while staying cool, so let's see what you have for me.
Scenario 1, you are at a busy cafe and you have been waiting 20 minutes for a simple coffee. You can see the staff is busy, but you really need to get to a meeting. You are starting to feel impatient. What do you say?
I would catch the server's eye and say, "Excuse me, I don't mean to be a bother, but I am in a bit of a rush and I am wondering if my coffee is coming out soon."
That is excellent. Using the phrase, "don't mean to be a bother," is a classic way to acknowledge that they are busy while still making your needs known. It takes the edge off the complaint.
Exactly, and in a bit of a rush, gives them a logical reason why you are asking, so it doesn't just sound like you are being demanding for no reason.
Okay, scenario 2. The bill arrives at your table, and you notice there is a charge for an extra appetizer that you never actually received. How do you bring this up without making the waiter feel like you're accusing them of lying?
I would stay very relaxed and say, "I think there might be a slight mistake on the tab here. We actually didn't end up getting those mozzarella sticks."
I love the use of slight mistake there. It makes the error seem small and easy to fix. And using actually helps transition into the correction very smoothly.
It is much better than saying, "You charged me for something I didn't eat," which sounds like a direct attack. Keeping it focused on the tab or the bill keeps the mood light.
Last one, scenario 3. You ordered a steak medium rare, but when it arrives, it is very well done and quite dry. You want a new one, but you want to stay polite. What is the play?
I would tell the server, "I hate to mention this, but this steak is a little overcooked for my liking. Could we possibly swap it out for a medium rare one?"
The phrase, "for my liking," is a total game changer. It makes the issue sound like a matter of personal preference rather than a failure by the chef. It makes people much more willing to help you.
And swap it out is a very natural phrasal verb that Americans use all the time when they want to exchange one item for another.
You nailed those. Now, before we head out, it is time for our drive-through recap. Let's give our listeners the top 3 high-value tips from today's episode so they can start using them immediately.
Tip number 1, always use mix-up instead of mistake. It is the ultimate word for removing blame and keeping a conversation professional and friendly, whether you're at a restaurant or the office.
Tip number 2, use the word, specifically, when you want to avoid confusion. Whether it is how you want your food cooked or what time you need a meeting to start, precision prevents problems.
Tip number 3, soften your corrections with words like actually or a bit. Saying something is a bit lukewarm or actually different sounds much more polite than being blunt.
Those 3 tips will honestly change the way people react to you in English-speaking environments. It is all about that subtle shift in tone.
It really is. English isn't just about the words you know. It's about how you use them to build bridges instead of walls.
That is a perfect way to end it. Thank you for joining us on English Drive-Thru today.
It was a pleasure. I hope everyone feels a bit more confident the next time they have to send a dish back or clear up a scheduling mix-up.
Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss an episode of English Drive-Thru. We will see you in the next one for more real-world English tips.